Umberto Albert Anastasia was born September 26, 1902, in Pargiglia, Calabria, Italy, to Bartolomeo Anastasio and Mariana Polistena. His father was a railway worker who died after World War I, leaving behind 9 children. Anastasia had 7 brothers: Raffaele, Frank, Anthony, Joseph, Luigi, and Salvatore. He had 1 sister named Maria. In 1919, Anastasia and 3 of his brothers illegally entered the United States by deserting a freighter they were working on off the coast of New York City. They soon got a job as longshoremen on the Brooklyn waterfront. March 17, 1921, Anastasia was convicted of murdering longshoreman George Torino over a dispute. He was sentenced to death and sent to Sing Sing prison in Ossining, New York. Due to a technicality, he won his retrial in 1922. 4 original witnesses disappeared as he was released. In 1928, he changed his last name from Anastasio to Anastasia. He was charged with another murder in Brooklyn, but the witnesses disappeared or refused to testify. On June 6, 1923, he was convicted on possession of firearms charges. He served 2 years in prison. He then married Elsa Bargnesi and had 4 kids. By the late 1920s, he became a top leader of the International Longshoremen's Association. He controlled 6 chapters of the labor union in Brooklyn. He allied with Joe Mazzaria, a powerful Sicilian mob boss, and became close friends with Joe Adonis, Salvatore Luciano, Vito, Genovese, and Frank Costello. They conspired to kill Mazzaria due to Luciano wanting his rackets and them being tired of Mustache Pete's. Mustache Pete's were old school mob bosses who were greedy and reluctant to change. Luciano set a meeting with Mazzaria where Anastasia, along with Joe Adonis, Ben Siegel, and Vito Genovese, shot Mazzaria dead. Luciano took over the Mazzaria crime family. In 1932, Anastasia was indicted for killing a man with an ice pick, but charges were dropped due to lack of witnesses, which would become a common theme with cases involving him. Nobody wanted to testify as they feared for their lives. In 1933, he was charged with another murder, but once again, no witnesses. Due to his loyalty, Luciano placed Anastasia and Lois Buchalter, who was the leading racketeer in the country, in charge of the Murder Inc. Murder Inc. was a group of Jewish and Italian contract killers who operated out of the back room of Midnight Rose's candy store, owned by Lois Capone. Capone had no relation to Al Capone. During the 10 years Murder Inc. was active, they committed thousands of murders, and most were never solved. For his success in Murder Inc., Anastasia was nicknamed the Mad Hatter and Lord High Executioner. In 1935, after Mazzaria's rival and boss of all bosses, Salvatore Maranzano, was killed, Luciano became the head of the commission. Luciano's commission, which was the mob's governing body, ordered Dutch Schultz to drop his plans to kill the special prosecutor, Thomas E. Dewey, because they feared the murder would bring heat from law enforcement. Schultz refused and stormed out of the meeting. Anastasia told Luciano that Schultz asked for his aid in staking out the prosecutor, so the commission held a meeting. After hours of discussion, they decided Schultz had to go. They ordered Buchalter to kill Schultz, but before Schultz could kill the prosecutor, he was shot in a tavern in Newark, New Jersey, October 23, 1935, and died the next day. On June 7, 1936, Dewey and his team convicted Luciano on 62 counts of forced prostitution. On July 18, 1936, Luciano was convicted and sentenced to 30 to 50 years in state prison. Genovese became acting boss of the Luciano crime family. In May of 1939, Anastasia ordered the murder of a Teamsters Union official named Morris Diamond, who opposed Buchalter maintaining control of the garment district in Manhattan. In the summer of 1939, Anastasia had Peter Panto killed, who was an ILA activist who wanted democratic reforms in the Union. His body was discovered on a farm in New Jersey. In 1941, Abe Reles, who wanted to be a part of Murder Inc., testified on the organization, leading to its end in the conviction of 7 members. He did this to save himself from the death penalty. He also had a lot of info on Anastasia, so Anastasia put a $100,000 bounty on his head. November 12, 1941, he was found dead on a hotel roof in Coney Island. His death was ruled an accident. Anastasia also ordered the killing of his associate, Anthony Romeo, due to him being questioned in the Panto killing. His body was found in Delaware, where he was beaten and shot. During World War II, Luciano and Anastasia aided the government in securing the docks of New York in exchange for leniency in cases. Anastasia joined the military, training soldiers to be longshoremen at Fort Indiantown Gap in Pennsylvania. He was honorably discharged and granted citizenship. Luciano also had charges dropped and was deported to Italy. In 1948, Anastasia went into dressmaking and left the docks to his brother, Anthony. In 1951, he was summoned to testify about crime but refused. Even though he was powerful, he was still just underboss of the Mangano crime family, under Vincent Mangano, who hated him due to his support of Luciano and Costello. This led to disputes between the two, and Mangano went missing, never to be found. Mangano's brother Philip was also killed and found in the Jamaica Bay in Queens. Anastasia went to the commission claiming the Manganos wanted him dead. The commission made Anastasia the boss of the Mangano family. Costello wanted him as an ally against Genovese, and Joseph Bonanno just wanted to avoid war, so he supported him. In March 1952, Anastasia ordered the killing of Arnold Schuster, who ratted on Willie Sutton, a bank robber, because he hated squealers. He was killed March 8, 1952. In 1963, Joseph Valachi testified, implementing Anastasia in the murder. No one was charged. Genovese, wanting to become boss of all bosses, plotted on Anastasia, Luciano, and Costello. He used mind games to win over supporters, saying Anastasia treated him bad. He wanted to make Anastasia look bad because he knew with Anastasia alive, he wouldn't take over the Luciano family. He said Anastasia was an unstable killer and would bring heat to the commission. He also pointed out that Anastasia sold memberships to his crime family for $50,000, which violated the commission rule. Lastly, he pointed out how Anastasia lost money in the horse races, making him more unpredictable. After a few years, Anastasia's capo, Carlo Gambino, agreed to set up Anastasia after Genovese offered to make him the boss. In 1955, Anastasia pled guilty to tax evasion for unreported income. He was sentenced to 1 year and received a $20,000 fine. The feds overturned his citizenship for lying on his application, but a high court overturned the ruling. In 1957, Genovese sent Chin Gigante to kill Frank Costello, but he only grazed him in the head. This caused Costello to retire as he was old and shaken up, and he gave control to Vito Genovese. With this move, the Luciano family was now the Genovese crime family. Bonanno had to sit down with Anastasia to prevent a war and retaliation. He didn't want Anastasia going at Genovese because of what he tried to do to Costello. June 1957, Frank Solis, who was accused of selling mob memberships for Anastasia, was killed. Anastasia was accused of approving the hit to calm tensions between him and Genovese. On October 25, 1957, Anastasia was killed as he got his hair cut at a hotel barbershop in Midtown Manhattan. Two masked men walked in and shot him, leaving him attacking the reflections in the mirror as he believed he was attacking them. Gambino took over the Anastasia family, and he renamed it the Gambino crime family. Shortly after this, Luciano and Gambino set up Genovese due to his reckless nature and his war hungriness. Genovese was sentenced to 15 years, where he died of a heart attack in a federal hospital at 74 years old. The chair where Anastasia was shot is now in the Mob Museum in Las Vegas. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know what I could do better in the comments section. I'd like to say rest in peace to all the fallen mafioso. And grazie a tutti. Thank you all.